The risks faced by the Caribbean nations are many. The small island nations and the coastal nations of the Caribbean face some of the most severe impacts of climate change anywhere in the world. And this is not just the physical impacts, but it's also the socio-economic impacts and the implications for development, for the livelihoods of the communities there, and also for the governments and the nation's economies. Essentially, the main impacts are focused on issues such as water, biodiversity, sea level rise impacts on the coastlines, which also includes coastal erosion, which is very serious. Energy, of course, is a big concern in terms of the threats to existing power plants, but also the supply of energy and the emissions that are being created as well. Small islands around the world generally are more vulnerable. This is because of perhaps some of them being very low-lying, so they're very vulnerable to sea level rise. It's also because of their isolation, and so that they are already vulnerable economies and already vulnerable places in the world. And of course, climate change exacerbates and increases those vulnerabilities. And these are some of the big problems. And the economies of these islands are based around things like, for example, biodiversity, up the reef. It may be that they're based on tourism of the reef or fisheries. And of course, the impacts of climate change, rising temperatures, the sea surface temperatures, impacts on the fish stocks, impacts on the reef, bleaching of the coral reef, and so on and so forth.